What's up, guys? So I had a formal complaint to YouTube and Google today about the complaints that I've been receiving for my YouTube channel about people saying that, oh, I go to Alien Scientist, I just subscribed and I'm unsubscribed the next day. I complained about this. They said, oh, which counts are doing this? There may be other reasons for this. We're not so sure. I claim that, you know, numerous people are reporting this. And I want to do more of a test, and I want to get other people who are involved. But they basically told me that, oh, if this is happening to other accounts, they should report this on their account. And so what we need to do is if this is happening to you, or if this happened to you, that your channel gets unsubscribed, or notifications get automatically turned off, or anything like that happening on this channel, I want you guys to go to YouTube support. Right, you can go to here, go to Google account, and go to support for YouTube, and you basically you can speak with a person live, and they'll be able to talk to you and tell that live person what's going on, your experiences, and explain what's happening. Because I sat there for about a half hour and explained to this person what was happening today, and they basically said, well, it doesn't, there's other reasons for this, and you need to, it's probably another issue. So what I want to do is get find someone else who has a YouTube channel. I mean, find someone else who has a YouTube account, someone random, and have them subscribe to me, and then check, just randomly subscribe to me, and then check to see the next day if they're still subscribed, and then document it, and then contact YouTube and complain about it. Because if it's happening to enough people and we get enough complaints going, then maybe they might do something about it. I also pointed out to them that, there's lots of other stuff that seems to be going on. We go to YouTube analytics. They said, check out your analytics. I'm not sure if it's on Studio or what. It might be on YouTube Studio, right? Analytics right here. So they said that overall, I'm getting more subscribers than unsubscribers, but every time you put out new content, you'll get people that unsubscribe, and there's people that get turned off and unsubscribe, and there's people that new subscribers. But honestly, it's just a weird thing that's happening with the YouTube channel. So I want people to help me document this, and also report it if you see it happening, so that way it can be addressed. And if there is some kind of something weird happening with my account, they're gonna open a case with YouTube Inner Security to do an investigation of this. But I still haven't heard back from them on my plaque. Supposedly, you're supposed to get a plaque when you hit 100,000 subscribers. I never got my plaque, and have been trying to get it for a couple of years now. I just don't know how to do that. So they're checking on that too. But the main thing is that this subscriber count seems to be stuck at 115. It was stuck at 99K for like 2 years before that, and it took me going on Tim Pool in front of a couple 100,000, maybe like 50,000, 60,000 live viewers that were watching that live, to actually boost that view count back up over 100,000. So been with YouTube since 2008 when I created the channel. So it's just kind of surprising that I've been with them for a very long time, and I earned every subscriber I got. I never paid for advertising or content or channel boosts or any of that stuff. So I don't think they should have any problem with giving me a damn plaque for all that. But yeah, if there's any kind of there might be bots, so that they also try to go against the bots and stuff. So they might think that everyone's a bot. I don't know. There might be, who knows what's going on. But anyways, I encourage people. YouTube wrote back to me, and they basically said, if this is happening to your account, then you guys need to cancel that. And I mean, report it on your accounts. So I'm hoping that people will start doing that, and we can get this problem solved, so that the shadow ban that we're under can be lifted. And I've talked to a couple other YouTube channels and accounts, and other people have told me this, but I was hoping to get YouTube to admit to it as well. Because I was asking them, I was like, I've heard of shadow bans. Is there certain content I shouldn't talk about? I was trying to get them to say something, but they wouldn't say anything about that. But other YouTubers have told me they've experienced the shadow ban too. And one interesting thing to look for, right? So another thing is the Danny Jones said, like, you look up Danny Jones, his podcast, and you get these ones. These ones come right to the top. But where's the Chris Bledsoe one, right? So I type in Danny Jones. Not saying that I really I was trying to look for this one the other night, but sorry, not Chris Jones, Chris Bledsoe, right? And when you type it, try this on your browser on YouTube as well. Type in Danny Jones, Chris Bledsoe, and just see. This was one of his most recent interviews. So you type it in by name, it should come up. Why does Brian Keaton come up number one on the top of the list for the search results? I searched for Danny Jones, Chris Bledsoe, and I want you all to try this on your YouTube search engine tab right now to see if you can find. See how far you have to scroll down to find the very recent Danny Jones interview, the full interview. It's just not on here. So these kind of things, yeah. Oh, mine's on there. That's really weird. So I don't know. It's just really weird what is going on with the search algorithm, and why when you try to search for certain videos and find them, you just can't. They're just gone. They just disappear. And a lot of people have been complaining that because they're like, "Oh, alien scientists." I searched for them, but I can't find anything. So other people have been saying they've tried searching for alien scientists and can't find alien scientist either. Of course, I'm on alien scientist account, so it doesn't work for me. But yeah, a lot of these guys, man, the people have spoken. 93K views in 4 days on that interview that he did. And if you go down to my interview here, I don't know where it is, but I just had it. I just saw it. Did I go by it? There it is. We're at 850,000. So the people have spoken. The people like the content. 846,000 views. So be sure you go watch this. Smash the like button on that too. That will help that get even more views. We're trying to break 1 million views with that one if we can. So their attempts to shadow ban and blacklist the information just is not working. It clearly can't work because the information is just more powerful than their algorithm blocking and whatever else they're doing. People care about real information. They care about the truth. So it's the time has come, and we're winning the information war. Seriously, guys. More and more people are waking up to the psyops, and everyone's saying, "Oh, the world's so dark and it's so evil and it's so everything sucks and all this stuff is just crazy." And it's like, no, it was always like this, except it was under a veil, and that veil's now being lifted, and more people are just becoming aware of what's going on. That's really what's happening. So it's just crazy, dude. We had that stream last night where we talked about all these scientists, and I had no idea that Lawrence Krauss was one of these scientists, man. He had done that debate with Nick Pope a couple of months ago that I talked about. The science debate. It was Lawrence Krauss versus Nick Pope. And, I had written to him back then and a couple times after that, trying to send him some stuff. And I put a couple messages in his inbox on Twitter, and he didn't respond to any of that stuff. He didn't even look at it. But just last night after the stream, I was feeling a little spunky, and I sent him a direct message on Twitter, saying that, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Krauss, I didn't realize that you were Jeffrey Epstein level compromised, and now I understand why you're not purposely not looking at the information. And he responded back to that. Oh boy, did he respond back to that, and basically told me don't contact him anymore. So it's just a shame that people won't look at your good information. They won't look at your legitimate attempts to reach out and start a conversation. But as soon as I go there and ask him about, accuse him of being compromised for his connections with Jeffrey Epstein and the fact that he's scuba diving on the island and went, on a submarine ride and all that. That's what got to him, and that's what he responded to. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy that Alan Guth, father of inflation theory, Frank Wilczek, and Betsy Devine, all these top scientists, including Stephen Hawking and Kip Thorne. These guys are some of the top gravity theorists in in the world. And it's just yeah, David Gross, really interesting stuff about what happened. And I don't say that, just because you went onto Epstein Island means you did pedophile stuff, or that you're, compromised, or any of this stuff. That's not proof. It's not, I can't make that allegation. I just have to be curious about, the response I got, and the fact that he didn't respond to anything, but he responded to that one. And, it's also, people have pointed out, it's kind of weird that he was let go of it from his university amid some sexual harassment or misconduct charges, which I thought was a little weird too. But again, I guess we'll never know really the truth to any of that, because it doesn't really matter, I suppose, as so much as the physics and the real arguments. But I just, I wish we could have a legitimate debate about this stuff. And when the mainstream, puts on these kind of debates, you really have to wonder about these things. So I just don't know. I just thought that a lot of the points that Krauss made in this were weak. He gave he said that no UFOs are aliens, and he's like 100% sure that not a single UFO has ever been an alien. And I mean, he just says a whole bunch of weird stuff in this debate with Nick Pope. Nick Pope's, all right. I just think they could have had a better, knowledgeable science expert on to do a debate like this. It's just ridiculous how close-minded, how close-minded the academic and mainstream science community is. And that's nothing new. Nothing has changed. I mean, we had the whole thing of epicycles, right? So they had this heliocentric, the sun is the center of the universe model, and the observations of the planets and the moons and everything. They had all these complex epicycles to explain it, and this was their universe model. I mean, look at all the crazy math. It's really complex. That's quite a mathematical structure. If you did the math for all this, it would be quite a lot of equations to have to describe all these precessions and parhelions and whatnot. So it's very, very complicated. It's hard to understand. It's complex. And if you spend a lifetime studying and mastering this, you'd of course think that you were the smartest person in the world. And anyone who defied your model or said it was wrong, you'd probably laugh in their face and think they were crazy, right? And it's like the same exact thing with the dark matter. You'd hire a bunch of scientists to go make some observations, and we've confirmed that these observations match our epicycle model 100%. Oh, here's a Nobel Prize for your observations and your physics that you've done. Good job, well done. And then you can use, say my friend's got the Nobel Prize for reconfirming the epicycle model of physics, and so therefore the epicycle models is the truth. It's the absolute. It's proven. And these are the type of arguments that Brian Keaton has given in context to, dark matter and dark energy theories versus, alternative theories that might explain the cosmos. So it's really quite frustrating, because not only is Brian Keaton just like the Roman Catholic Church, he refused to look at any of the information that we provide. He refused. He hasn't looked at Mike McCulloch's, quantized inertia theory, hasn't looked into any of the warp drive stuff, any of the Jack Sarfati stuff. It says that Jack Sarfati's math gives him a headache, rather than commenting on anything beyond that. It's really quite obvious that we're living in just a repetition of history, where they're refusing to look through Galileo's telescope and say, oh, why the fuck do I need to look through Galileo's telescope? I mean, we got the epicycles model. This is it matches observations. You know what I mean? So it's really sad to see. And you know what? I was talking about, Jack Sarfati, and you complain, it's like you're screaming out real truth for so many years, and people are just ignoring you. And then finally, you won't debate me, you won't address me, you guys are cowards. And he starts, insulting these people for not taking, you know, his math and his models and stuff seriously. And then they use the they use that to basically say, oh well, you know, this obviously this guy's off his rocker and he's mad. He's absolutely insane and he's an ego. They say, oh well, he's a narcissist and an egomaniac, and why do we have to listen to anything this guy has to say? He's a raving, ranting lunatic. Well, there's an interesting story about the man who first discovered germs and discovered that hand washing actually, you know, prevented disease. You know, that this guy was name was Ignaz Semmelweis, a very little known scientist. And he, for years, was going out and showing people like, hey, you know, there's these things called germs. They're on our hands, and if we wash our hands, we can get rid of these germs. And then when we do surgery on people, we don't not putting germs into their open wounds and into their bodies, and we can actually get a lot better results and stuff. And he was trying to tell all his friends in the all the medical doctors that worked with him, and he was trying to tell them all, you know, hey, washing your hands is a great thing, you know. And all these other doctors mocked him. They called him fucking crazy. They called him stupid. Say, why the fuck do we need to wash our hands? We already prayed. You know, we pray and that's it. Like, it's done. Like, you're an idiot. You're a fucking moron. And I don't need to, like, and they mocked him so bad and made fun of him so bad. And this guy knew he was right, that they actually got him to have a complete mental breakdown. And they actually committed him to an insane asylum where the guards beat the shit out of him, and he died 2 weeks later from an infection on his hand. So, and then it took several years for who is it? Pasteur, Louis Pasteur, to prove his theory of germs. So several years later, Louis Pasteur would eventually, you know, prove that there are germs. And then one of his subjects, one of these doctors, you know, started actually using hand washing and taking notes and experimenting, and said, wow, you know, this really does help, you know, people survive these crazy surgeries if you clean your hands before you operate on them. And it took years for the medical and the scientific community to come to terms with the truth. And it's just, we're living in the same exact time period where, you know, no, this is, and again, the thing that turned this around with science is that they had to show the actual experimental evidence and do an experiment where washing the hands and that showed the proof that this happened. The difference between that and crackpot lunatic liars like Judy Wood, who won't debate me, and you know, people like this that refuse debate because they know they're lying, because she got her ass handed to her in a debate with Greg Jenkins. You know that these people are lying because there's, you know, and I will gladly recant all my words and bow down and say, oops, I'm sorry, I was wrong. If one person anywhere out there can just show me an experiment with the numbers, with the physics, you know, how much energy you use, and dustify a piece of steel, like she says, you know, build one of your space lasers and dustify a piece of steel with it. And until you can actually do that and actually show the physics, show the experiment and reproduce it, then you're going to continue to be considered crazy and a crackpot. So that's the real difference between that. So I'm not seeing any light there with your disinformation. You can't use, oh, you've seen the light, let me throw some disinformation in there. No, that didn't work. You liars and clowns. Absolute no evidence for that. I mean, I had the Bob Greenier thing. I see like where he's going with some of this replication on the Hutchison effect stuff, which I still haven't seen, you know, a real replication of the Hutchison effect material in a lab or any of that stuff. I haven't seen, you know, the transmutation elements or them to do anything that looks like what Judy Wood claims. It's a wild, crazy stretch, and I'm almost positive it's disinformation for a number of other reasons that I you know, and I'm not the smartest dude. I make a lot of mistakes. I fuck a lot of stuff up, man. We get a lot of shit wrong, and that's okay sometimes. But you know, I've come to learn that you get one or two things wrong, and then these scientists like they won't even listen to you after that. They just say, oh, well, you made 1 or 2 mistakes, and I'm going to use those against you the whole time. And I feel like we maybe shot ourselves in the foot because they've taken a few bad APEC presenters or a few bad guests or other people that I have on the show, and they've used that to judge the whole channel and throw out all the baby with the bathwater, and all the babies with the bathwater. So, and they call, I'm the disinformation agent, bro. These people are bots, and they're on every single one of those videos and posts and stuff, but none of them will debate me, and none of them will come on and show me any sort of experimental proof, which is all I ask for. I mean, we have the platform where if this is secret technology and it's real and you can show it, you can come on APEC, or you can come on my show right now and demonstrate it. There's a StreamYard link. I'm bringing, anyone wants to come on. Gary wants to come on. You're always welcome, Gary. Love to have you on the show, man. So, but the other thing too is I make mistakes sometimes. I talked about that, right? So, Ashton Forbes and Dave Rossi were on TimCast today. And I guess it's not, I thought it was going to be on TimCast IRL website at 7 p.m., but it actually streamed 9 hours ago this afternoon on they've set up a separate platform called Tenet Media, and someone else owns it. Tim Pool doesn't even own it. I guess so, but Tim Pool's doing the show on Tenet Media. I guess they rebranded themselves and stuff. So they had this on there. If you want to go to Tenet Media, at Watch Tenet, and check out that interview that Rossi and Ashton did. Whether I have no comments or no side of whether that video is real or not. I'm not an expert in video anything, but and I've seen the debunks. I'm not, we've seen the Danny Jones and all that, and I'm not arguing about the authenticity of that video. But I will say that it is 50 times better than anything that Jeremy Corbell presented in front of Congress. So all the videos of UFOs that Jeremy Corbell brought to Congress, this one, if he just brought this one video to Congress, man, we'd have way more disclosure. It would have opened up way more. It would have had way more investigations, because it's got the Edward Lynn, it's got the SBIRS stuff, it's got the Freescale semiconductor scientists, and it's got and it's also got the whole the issue with Lockheed Martin's, matter wave and teleportation technology potentially, which would be a great investigative starting point for our Congress to begin looking into the UFO subject. They'd find a lot more looking into those things than they're going to find looking into Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell's videos. And which makes me think that there's a definite reason why, that congressional hearing, you have to really wonder about all that. And I think personally that everything is a stage. The world is a stage, that they pick these 3 whistleblowers. They pick the evidence that would be presented, and all these people are in some capacity in, collaborating and working together. That's just what I suspect. I don't have any evidence for that, but I just suspect it from years of watching all this stuff go down and seeing how our government operates and how the media operates. Back in the 1970s, there was this thing called the Church Committee. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the Church Committee. It was you can find it here on C-SPAN and go research this and watch it. But it's basically a big investigation into the CIA and NSA and all this stuff. And in that committee, they came out with this heart attack gun, which fires an ice dart that has a neurotoxin in it. And the neurotoxin is made from a shellfish in Australia that they get from the Great Barrier Reef. It's called Conus geographus, a geographic cone snail. And it has some of the deadliest neurotoxin venom of any animal in the animal kingdom. And the CIA took that venom out, extracted it, made an ice dart and a gun that will shoot this ice dart into, anyone. So you can shoot someone with this gun, the ice dart melts and disappears and only leaves a little hole. And then the neurotoxin, after it paralyzes you, you suffocate to death from your diaphragm and your chest muscles aren't able to, work. So you suffocate to death. And then the poison wears off. It disappears. The poison will actually break down and disappear. So it's untraceable in the body. And the autopsy will look like you had a heart attack. So it's called the heart attack gun. And it was a real thing that the CIA made and probably used on a number of people. There's a number of mysterious heart attacks with witnesses that were up close to the JFK assassination. Like everyone who was standing around the grassy knoll just died mysteriously in the 4 or 5 years after the JFK assassination. Many of them from heart attacks. So this gun comes out, and it of course draws a lot of suspicion that the CIA killed a lot of those witnesses using this heart attack gun, and it also came out in the Church Committee that the CIA was running an operation called Operation Mockingbird, whereby they installed or owned people in every single news agency. So every newspaper, every single television show, that they would just get someone on the board of directors, someone in the editorial oversight panel who worked for the CIA, and this was called their family. This was the 1973 document called the Family Jewels. The Family Jewels. But this is like the CIA's most prized possession, is the fact that they own everyone of any major significance in the mainstream media. And basically, any story that you see published in any newspaper, or any story that you see coming out on your nightly news on any mainstream broadcast, is completely approved by a CIA officer who's on the editorial board of what gets approved to be aired to the public. And there's lots of stuff that they will censor and not allow out there. So this is a real thing, Operation Mockingbird. So back in 2017, when that New York Times article dropped, you really have to wonder about the UFOs. And then it started all this all that led us to these congressional hearings where they brought out their people and made it all circle around Skinwalker Ranch and Bigfoots and dino beavers and all this stuff. So all this stuff, all this disinfo crap gets mixed in with the narrative. The technology is completely, they said alien technology, but none of the technology has ever been discussed. It's been blacklisted and brought out of. It's just not even mentioned anywhere. So you have things like this, and it makes you really wonder: did they set all this up? Did they, orchestrate these hearings to have these fake, whistleblowers and fake people on there to, present the most watered down mainstream narrative version of the evidence they could? It just seems like that to me. And I wouldn't. That's just where I stand with the whole thing. But yeah, let's get some other people in with some other different opinions. I know Michael probably doesn't agree with me.
No, well, I mean, Operation Mockingbird is frankly obvious, and it's surprising that the Wikipedia page still says alleged, because like every once in a while you'll see a video of like basically every single news media organization saying the exact same words verbatim, and it's typically something that the CIA or some rich guy or who knows who like told them to say that,
Yeah.
So it's kind of obvious, like if you do, like, even if you just like,
but where does it end? Do you think like it, I just wonder where
where it ends is you just can't, like, the news media was originally meant to inform people. You have to find alternative ways of informing yourself these days.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, what I do is I just look at Google Scholar.
Yeah.
And Google, I mean, that's a Google thing, so that's not going to last forever because they're kind of bought out by the system too. So, but
yeah,
to an extent, Google Scholar needs to work properly because it's used for fundamental research, and like scientists would complain if that was really like censored in a more severe way, because like a lot of the stuff bordering on the secret stuff is common scientific knowledge. So scientists will be like, why is this common knowledge just disappearing? There'd be outcry about it because it's like tons of people use Google Scholar with their research. But
Yeah.
I mean, for the time being, Google Scholar is a good source. Like direct evidence, old books that like predate like all this internet, like basically with modern AI, you can pretty much fake any video, audio, or text.
Yeah.
So if you have a book that was printed before all of that, that you can trust that. If you have
Yeah.
like physical
Yeah,
evidence
books
in
are
front of
great,
you,
man. I wonder if like we're going towards a future where, you'll want
it's
to have everything
dystopian.
printed out.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, maybe because like if it's not printed, like the internet's more ephemeral anyway. Like most of the pages on the internet, it's not even necessarily that some pages are being covered up. Like um, most of the pages on the web, you have to pay annually to keep your website functioning and stuff. So if someone dies or if something's not profitable anymore, or people aren't interested in it, it won't get enough money to survive on the web. So the web is a very ephemeral place. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think anyone who really feels like it's valuable to safeguard human knowledge should keep their own repository of knowledge. I mean, I know there's the Vatican archives, there's the archives in DC, but you probably want your own. Like if the like most of history is either like physical things that people built that remained, and then people were able to study that, or like pottery bits and whatever, which don't really give us that much information, or books that people decided to keep, and that's up to every one of us to decide what to keep in history, even today. Even though
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, this internet thing is going to be here forever," really not so. Like,
They
I
already
think
were trying to like make an internet too.
there was a YouTube
Yeah.
channel called Black Pigeon Speaks, I think. Uh, and he goes over this thing called the dead internet theory. I think you're familiar with that, right, Jeremy? The dead internet theory.
So, yeah, the dead internet theory. I don't know what that is completely, but
Well, I mean, it's basically saying that the internet is what's the term they used? Potemkin village.
yeah, AI could kill the internet, man. They think it very well could, man.
Well, I mean,
But
like large multi like the major powers, the U.S., China, Russia, they already kind of killed the internet. They chopped it into pieces that weren't actually fully talking to each other because they felt they needed to control their individual pieces because they're control freaks. What else would they do? Um, but anyway,
so another a good example, people have said, "Oh, was anything ever documented from Operation Mockingbird?" Like what? Why is it still alleged and stuff? What's interesting is you look into a number of news organizations that have been, where people have been exposed. Jake Tapper of CNN and is a good example where you have these pedophiles that are on the board on the head of CNN, running CNN news, and it turns out this guy is a pedophile and gets exposed.
yeah, they were all in
So
Epstein's.
just like
Uh,
that, yeah, they control these people. They control them with different ways, whether it's sex, drugs, prostitutes. Um,
Whatever means they can find at the
yeah,
end of the
any
day.
means that they can find, and they will control
Money.
you if you're in these positions, and they will pressure you and
This is why we need.
incentivize you.
This is why we need post scarcity economics. We need a post scarcity system because if you have the
Yeah,
technology to take care of all your basic needs, then you don't need them for anything
the way I put it
after
is
a
it's
point.
not so much a conspiracy where all these people are working together and they're all part of some massive evil cabal and that has the same agenda. It's more I was listening to Peter Diamandis talking with Elon Musk the other night about the X Prize Foundation, and he says, in order to get innovation and to happen, in order to move humans to actually build and do stuff, you have to incentivize it.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's all
bullshit. Look at well, I mean that's the problem. Like these days, it's been disincentivized. Like
right.
real innovation that makes real changes is disincentivized because there's
Yes.
people who have that stuff and they want control over it. But Yeah, I mean, yeah, the X Prize, like if you have something that'll make computer chips like 10% better, then you got a whole bunch of investment. Like they want people working on not the big breakthroughs. I think, but anyway, this is beside the point almost.
Yeah.
What we need to focus on
Well,
in this day and age is what we each can individually do, because yeah, sure, like you got like BlackRock and uh, Citadel and all these giant companies controlling everything, but I mean, what it's I mean it's like the parable is like Star Wars. It's like you have like a kind of quasi nuclear family group up against an evil empire. Like, what do you do today is the important thing, because you don't have control over the rest. I mean, you kind of like it's good to be informed about it, but you also just, I mean, you could lose your sanity easily just worrying about all the problems in the world instead of choosing something to fix.
yeah. Yeah, I know there's so many problems that I try to focus on solutions more than problems because you can sit there and call out problems and point out problems all day. Um, guys, the dark physics just dropped if you guys haven't yet,
That was a
but
pretty good talk.
I
Did
had
you
a good
see?
talk.
I would like to spotlight Charles Bueller's thing though. Tim Ventura just gave him an interview. If
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
like misses out on the super long APEC videos, Charles Bueller, a NASA scientist, just demonstrated propellantless propulsion fairly conclusively. Like he's an expert with electrostatics. He controlled for everything. It still has propulsion. Very, very interesting. And anyone who's interested in this stuff should really take a look at that, because there's some new physics in it for sure. Oh, is it not? No, it would be up.
There it was. It was 5 days
Yeah,
ago. Right
yeah,
here.
just recently. Yeah, go watch
This is
this.
important. So if you're gonna show
Yeah,
the physicists something, I know they don't have this is what you gotta send to the
yeah.
physicists.
I would even like at some point if you choose to like apologize to Eric. I don't think you would, but if you choose to go back to Eric Weinstein, it's like, sorry about that, man. Like, if you come to your senses about that, you show him this video. This is interesting, easy to replicate the results of, like, with Eric Weinstein's, like,
Dude, they're not gonna
influence.
help us, man. He's controlled opposition. I'm 100% convinced of it now. If he wasn't, then he would have been on APEC a long time ago to,
No,
call
I don't
Bolsonaro and
think
other
it's that
people.
simple. I just
Well,
don't think it's
why
that
is it?
simple.
Why hasn't he contributed then? Why is he going and giving all these, going on all these other podcasts and shows and
But
stuff?
as
And
crazy as it sounds, like, I mean, like,
I just don't trust
we have
him
some
anymore
amazing
because of
stuff.
what
We
Brian
have some
Keaton did.
amazing stuff, but there's so many
And
things, and
he's
they're all
really good
important in
friends
the
with
world.
Brian Keaton, so I just and he
There's, there's
acted like
so,
a
like,
huge know-it-all, like he already knew everything and was basically insulted you and me when we tried to have a conversation with the guy saying that, "Oh, we're wasting his time and making him stupider." Like,
yeah,
I don't
it's
trust the guy, and I'm not I like
I
and
mean, you go with
I
your
don't think he's an
gut.
asset to the team.
You may be right. I don't know. We will. I mean, time will reveal what the situation is.
Well,
Ultimately, I think
I
we need
guess
more.
so.
I
I
think
guess so, but
we should really. We don't have enough information on that, I would say. But I
yeah,
mean,
he
at the
does
end of the day,
disagree
like
with him a lot,
this
yeah.
stuff by Charles Bueller, very, very simple. You just have a capacitor, and you have a normal dielectric on one side, and on the other side you have an electret. So, if anyone's familiar with Lichtenberg figures, go look up Lichtenberg figures.
Lichtenberg, how do you might wanna spell that in the chat for people,
Oh, I'll put it here. Yeah, look this up. Not with the flash there. That was accidental.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
look that up on Wikipedia. No, not well. Yeah, Wikipedia would work. So basically, look, there it is. Anyway, yeah. So
Ooh,
it's like you take a block of
cool.
acrylic and you zap it in a particle accelerator with about 2.5 mega electron volts, and this thing builds up electrostatic charge inside because the electrons from the particle accelerator get stuck in the acrylic block, and then you hit it with a nail and a hammer on one corner, and it disperses all of the charge out of itself. So, yeah, like
Exactly.
this is what Charles Bueller's been doing recently, and this is what's been getting them extremely large resulting forces. So this is easy to test, even compared to what I thought they were doing. Like I thought they were using the nail-like structure with, which is what Thomas Townsend Brown was doing. That explains also why T. Townsend Brown's research needed to be pulsed AC, because they had free charges, and eventually you have a comb, you have some nails, and you have a flat plate, and that's your capacitor. This is the real T. Townsend Brown experiment. So the nails, the sharp points,
Dude.
the metal points, they equilibrate. They come to equilibrium, and then there's no more force applied. It's all at equilibrium again. So if you then pulse it with DC, or you switch the AC field on that, then the nails are out of equilibrium again, and there's a force for a moment. But what Charles Bueller is doing now is he has a block of acrylic instead of the comb, and so the charges in that block don't equilibrate over any reasonable time frame. So you can continue applying that electrostatic force to those trapped charges. It's very clever, and I wish I'd thought of it, but anyway, it's so easy. You can make an electrostatic. You can make an electret like this. So
Yeah.
you basically if there's somewhere that sells Lichtenberg figures that are not yet discharged, maybe we can grab a couple of these, sandwich them in a capacitor plate, and try this. It's a very easy experiment. Very, very easy. You don't even need super high voltages. Like
So
he was
you
working with
mentioned
10 volts.
Electret. What, just so people who don't know what that is, what is an Electret?
Well, it's like a magnet, except electrostatic. So
Oh,
there's two types of electrets. There's intrinsic electrets, and there's extrinsic Well, I don't know if that's the right terminology to use, but basically you have electrets that are ferroelectric materials that are polarized. So those are like ferromagnetic materials. They're exactly analogous to a magnet. You're going to get a dipole moment, and that dipole is your electret. But there's a second type of electret, because we have electrostatic charges as free particles. And if you take electrostatic charges and you embed them in a block of material, you get a single pole, either positive or negative. And that's what we're talking about here. I think they're probably using positive charges inside the electret block in this case, instead of negative charges. So instead of an electron beam, you'd have a hydrogen or a proton beam. So in any case,
it's real
yeah, this
easy to
is
make,
really
but it's
exciting. This
it's
is
like a
really exciting.
magnet. So these things are easy to make. You just run a bunch of. Is this like a piece of glass or acrylic that they just land?
That's acrylic. That's acrylic.
Can we
And
make these?
you need a particle accelerator. So there's the rub. However, we just need
Bob Lazar's got one. Maybe we can borrow his.
because what Charles is doing is he's making very thin films, and thin films can't hold megavolts. Maybe they can hold kilovolts. So a kilovolt electron gun is much easier to obtain. You can get one out of an old TV, and then you can stick it in a vacuum pot, like you get that off Amazon or something, and you just you use the electron gun right out of the TV, and you can get a couple kilovolts, and that's all you need. Because look at how don't move away yet. Look at the picture. It's very illustrative. So see how the top of it, there's like an inch or something at the top where there's no yeah. So the electrostatic charges, the electrons can kind of tunnel out of the material if the barrier is too large. So it is too small. So basically, these high energy electrons will only embed themselves in the plastic if they are a certain distance away from the edge of the plastic. So this still applies to thin films. So with thin films, that tunnel barrier, I mean, you're right up near that surface basically. So you're not going to hold megavolts. But if you want to hold kilovolts, again, that's super easy. Just get an electron gun out of an old TV, hook something up in vacuum. I bet we could get like Cody's lab to do this, or one of the project YouTubers that builds stuff like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of showing it to Action Lab, man. He did
Man,
this.
yeah, he could do it. He could definitely. Yeah, you know what?
Did you see this video?
Action Lab, like his quality has been getting a lot better over the past couple of years, and his research. I really, I gotta say, like he's really stepped up his game. And you know what? It would be really cool if Action Lab could be like the first to get like anti-gravity to the mainstream, or sorry, not electric
Warp drive, our first,
whatever this technology is that Charles is talking about here, propellantless propulsion. Anyway, that's just actually that's how a magnetron works in a microwave oven. So you get the electrons, and they spin out in the magnetic field, and that's and then the circle part around there in a microwave magnetron, it has these pockets around the side, and those will resonate at the frequency that the magnetron operates at. So you can like if you opened up a microwave magnetron, it would probably look similar on the inside, and that's what's producing microwaves to cook your, like, I don't know, turkey dinner or whatever.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the space between the inner circle and the outer circle is kind of like the cavity in a cavity magnetron almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except in this case, since there's no cavities on the side, you're probably not going to get a lot of microwaves out of it.
Yeah, it's probably not. I would be worried
But
about that, man. It's shooting microwaves out the top. I wonder. It's
but yeah,
surprised
this
not
is
seeing the camera glitching when he gets lined up with it or something.
but yeah, actually, you know what? If you have if you can reach Action Lab, send him that video from Charles Bueller.
Yeah.
Explain to him it's just a capacitor with a non-discharged Lichtenberg figure block, or any electret that's just holding bare charge in it, not like the ferroelectric Electret. So I mean, I bet a bunch of people here, if you all write out to him and like say, hey, just try this experiment, just try it. And
Yeah, send him the Charles Bueller video.
Yeah, and just
ask
get two of these bricks on opposite sides. Just have it on a torsion pendulum. Yeah, get one brick going one way, one brick going the other way. You only need about 10 volts on the capacitors, because most of the voltage is stuck in the block. You only need, that's all you need. So, and then, I mean, obviously, like, stick these things in a big thing of styrofoam so that you don't have ion wind. That's what they did in their experiment.
To get rid of the ion wind, they put it in styrofoam.
Yeah, because you have to encapsulate it in something. Charles used styrofoam. That's easy because you can just machine it to shape, and you stick your thing inside there, your test article. But like what my personal recommendation is something called MR97 boron nitride mold release, but I'm just fancy like that. So yeah, but actually though, if anyone wants something that will last up to 3,000 Celsius as a coating, check that out. MR97 boron nitride mold release. I put that stuff on everything. I think that's someone else's. That's some food company's thing, but I don't eat this. Don't eat MR97. It's not healthy, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. I'm just riffing today. That's all I wanted to mention. This needs a shout out, because like
this does. Yeah, you're right. This is probably the most important thing. I mean, it's just so much going on, and it gets so distracted. And then people
it's so easy to replicate this too. So easy.
This is super easy to replicate. You could do it in your lab at home. So if we can get Action Lab and other guys replicating this and sharing these results, that would be huge, because
this is a lot of T. Townsend Brown stuff. I think Jeremiah mentioned that T. Townsend Brown's family released his authentic notes on a web page a while back. I forget what the web page name was, but maybe you can ask Jeremiah.
Yeah.
But like his original notes were talking about this comb structure, and the comb structure is what they were testing from 2016 to 2020 there. And they were getting a little bit of force. It was noticeable, but it wasn't practical. And then they switched to these Electrets, and that's the key. That's really the key, because like the comb structure equilibrates on a fast time scale. That's why they needed pulsed AC or pulsed DC. So this doesn't equilibrate. It's perfect. It's really clever. Anyway, I'd love to see this tested. So it's not a difficult thing to test.
I would love to see these things up on our eBay store. I think we'd sell more of these than the t-shirts or
we could, I mean,
anything else.
figures are easy enough to get in bulk. There's
Type one in the chat if you'd buy one of these right now for $30.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we could even make our own Lichtenberg figures if we get a high voltage source. But I'd much rather sell the capacitors ready to go for testing.
See, man, they're like, take my money.
Sure. I mean, I think we'd have to license Charles his patent for that. But I mean, he seems friendly. I think he'd give us a reasonable deal.
Dude, we'd have freaking, look at this, $30 times 30 at least, dude. That's
it's exciting stuff. If true,
damn.
I mean, obviously, I want to see the thing working myself first.
Oh yeah, they're selling them. They're probably expensive to make, so they probably aren't cheap.
Well, yeah, they're not expensive because you can have a linear accelerator running continuously, and then you have a production line with acrylic blocks going underneath it, and it just charges up all the acrylic blocks. So it's feasible to do it at scale, but the setup cost is large. You can buy a Lichtenberg figure for like $30, $100, that sort of price range. They mass produce these things, but they're all discharged.
Yeah.
So
I want a desk size one with color changing LED lights. That sounds amazing. I would
yeah, people definitely that already exists as a product on the web, I'm sure.
Yeah. If someone's got access to a particle accelerator, then yeah.
But hey, definitely buy it from us instead if we set that up, because then we'll use all that money to continue the research that's like getting us all of these we found Charles Bueller, or they came to us really. Like this ecosystem that we're building brings these people here, and the breakthroughs are attracted to us, and that's valuable to humanity. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, this research, that's what we're selling all this stuff for. Is like this, the profits from this are all going back into our research here.
Yeah,
that's important.
That's important, right? No, I yeah, you guys can. I didn't post a link to our eBay store already, but we got a couple products up here already, guys, including the Super Force shirts.
That also is a limited edition one. We'll switch to like a silver one or whatever afterwards. So we have like 25 of those total, a couple different sizes.
My buddy Finn was a little disappointed we don't ship to Australia.
Oh yeah, I need to figure out international shipping stuff. I think there's like some business license we need to get. If anyone knows basic business stuff or can give us some advice on that, I have no idea about international shipping. Please help.
Yeah, we should get some beanies, dude, for just to show, just so we could have given Dave Zed one to wear instead of Calvin Klein today. We could have had him wearing an APEC beanie instead of CK. There.
Well, anyways, I better head out. Nice chatting. I definitely want to chat with Dave Zed sometime. Although his YouTube channel is strange to say the least, he clearly knows his stuff. Which is
Did you watch this? You should go watch. I want to hear your thoughts on some of the things.
He went on Tim Pool already. Ooh.
Yeah, it went on today. It was it came out
really
at 3. I thought it was going to be at 7, but it came out at 3.
Nice.
There's a couple things I was reading the comments and responding to a bunch of people already. One of the things he messed up, he said because because we had an article when that first was discovered about the chlorophyll having to do with quantum effects. And I think one of the articles that I read on that mistakenly said it was quantum entanglement. And so he repeated that on the show. And then someone was quick to point out that it's quantum superposition and not entanglement. And
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
he doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy's an idiot. So I was just,
I mean,
man. People will take one little mistake or one little thing off by, and it throws out your whole argument and everything. So,
yeah, you got to be very, very careful with your terminology these days.
I know.
I mean, even like, especially if this, like, look, if you're a world-class scientist and you have the option to talk to one of 1,000 other people in a given day, like, you want the person you're talking to be right on the money about everything. You don't want them to make a single mistake. You need to be on top of terminology and at least the basic understanding of things. It's critical. I mean, this is like, I mean, with Jack Serfati, it's a love tap thing, you know. It's like he calls us all schmucks when we make a mistake because he knows it's important that we don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
But like, he still talks to us, you know. That's the thing. Like, and that's kind of because, like, he's seen crazy stuff, we've seen crazy stuff. We both know there's something here. Like, most normal scientists, I mean, they've probably never seen a UFO themselves. They probably, like, just think, I mean, it's all theoretical to them until there's proof, and that's understandable, because if I were in their situation, I probably would think similarly, you know. But I don't know. I've seen things. Other people have seen things that are difficult to explain under conventional means.
Well, Tim Pool thinks that he can recreate the entire MH370, both videos, in under 2 hours. So let's let him do it and show us, because he made that claim on the show. So I hope people hold him to that. Do it.
Well, I hope people don't go after him for releasing anything. Dave's much more valuable, like, alive and functioning.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's bad forces out there. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I wish him.
And even if all the physics isn't 100% on point or accurate, man, he's got a lot of pieces of the puzzle to put together, man. It's not, I don't think it's stretching or like mind gymnastics, like, really
I mean, a lot of this, like, he's clearly self-taught. He's a little bit loose with his terminology.
Yeah.
But, like, if you ask for a list of scientific articles from him, he will give you he will give you, like, he's talking about something and you're not fully understanding. He'll give you the references and you're like, oh, okay, I get that. Yeah. Like, so it's understandable if he's self-taught, you know, like, but at least he can point to the right paper and understand.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Todd.
Michael.
Thanks for joining us, Todd.
Happy Friday.
Yeah,
happy Friday. Happy New Year. Yeah.
I was just about to head out. Maybe I'll stick around a few minutes.
Oh, Jeremy.
How are you doing, Todd?
And Drake.
Right.
I don't know if Drake's microphone works, but you can come on and hang out.
Sure.
Thanks,
guys. I wanted to talk about that asymmetrical capacitor thing that he tested.
Sure. Go ahead.
Bueller, right?
Bueller, yeah. I was thinking about this. If you had an acrylic or some sort like that so it's not a vacuum on that side, that reduces the electric field on one side, and on the other side you have a permanent charge, bound charge electric field. How could you make this propel? And I thought, well, if you had an environment that was ions, you can make it work like a vacuum tube. Just put a grid in front of it and of an opposite charge grid in front of a surface, and you would get a force proportional to the surface area, depending on how many, like, if it's positively charged on the surface, how many negative ions hit it and how many positive ions get repelled away. That would give it, like...
Isn't that an ion thrust thing, though?
It is, but it would give you a force proportional to the area.
As a potential alternative explanation for this device?
Yeah.
Could a laser go through the acrylic do the similar result?
I mean, I don't know. I think the charges are bound charges, so I don't
Right.
know if they can do that. What is this?
That's kind of
Oh,
neat.
someone got struck by
That's the
lightning. I
lightning
guess they're-
strike in his skin.
Ouch.
Yeah. An interesting thing about lightning strikes, in the winter, they're a lot more rare, but a lot more deadly. So if you're struck by lightning in the summer, you're probably going to be fine. But if you're struck by lightning in the winter, which is a much rarer event also in many places,
You have to,
then,
I guess,
then that's bad.
you have to
What is
build a
that?
lot
Is it
of
just
them.
current? Is it the
Humidity.
current, or what is it?
The
What is it?
humidity keeps the charge from getting too high. So in the winter, when it's very dry, the charge can build up to many, many more megavolts and the lightning discharge is much more powerful.
So you could be a conductor, a way to build enough, I guess, charge in yourself.
Well, it's just about the environment that you're embedded in. It's not about
The
you.
cold, dense clouds are closer to the ground too.
Yeah. But
That's
could you
true.
build it up yourself? I mean, enough charge in yourself, even if the conditions are not even right. I'm just curious. Like, it's good physics.
I'm not sure what the question is.
Probably have to do more research and reformalize the questions.
Okay.
Wasn't there a guy that would hang out after APEC that had like real capacitor-based vacuum propulsion last year?
I think that was the guy. So
In Florida?
yeah, that was
The Florida
Drew.
guy?
That was Drew. Yeah.
I enjoyed listening to him.
Drew is working for Charles. Charles
Yeah,
is
it's the
the
same.
scientist at NASA behind Drew's work.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, this is like real stuff here.
Yeah, because
You
it
see
seemed
that
like
graph.
it wasn't huge forces, but it sounded like they had real backing and were doing
Well, I mean,
things.
huge forces is relative. They have an object that can pretty much lift itself.
Oh, it
with
was
the amount of
vertical?
stuff that it produces. Yeah, I mean, not the power supply too, but like the plate of it can actually like just about lift itself.
And they're like actually thinking about using it for satellites or something like that.
You could use this for a lot of things. But anyway, yeah, everyone check out Charles Bueller's thing. I mean, if there are holes in it, poke holes in it. If there's anything wrong with it, I would love to know.
His slides, some of his equations, the way he derives things, he gets the right answer. But if you try to follow it from beginning to end, his math is gibberish.
Well,
Interesting.
I think we need a math buff that's not into calculus or which are.
Well, we have one. We have Todd here.
Yeah,
Oh,
he just his equations just aren't written clearly. Is
Gotcha.
what I think is
I mean,
he struggles to write the equations out, but he knows what the answer is.
He strikes me as more of a experimentalist, anyways, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's such an easy experiment to try. It's something like we might as well. It's not a complicated one to. But
yeah, I was going to ask
time,
Mark if he got enough information for the lab to try it.
We have plenty of information from this last presentation that he did, plenty, and they've got their patent, so they're not worried about talking.
Part of my question about it was with the bound charges, what is it bound to and what's behind it?
It's kind of stuck. It's kind of just stuck in the. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I need to ask them about.
I mean, he showed plenty of photos of the old free charge devices with the nails, but he didn't show.
Well, that was because it had lower
anything
performance.
about the new patent and their new design and how that works with bound charges.
Yeah, this Tim Ventura interview starts to go into that.
Barely, I watched it.
That's fair. That's
barely.
Fair.
It didn't.
Well,
it
I mean
didn't
that's
really
because that's their secret sauce for their patent. That's what gets them their real improvement.
Hey,
well,
if we want to replicate it in our lab, we need to know what the secret sauce is, or we don't know what.
You're always after my
we have enough
sauce.
information. We have enough information to charge up some Kapton tape with a electron gun out of an old TV. Like that should be plenty of information, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's using for bound charges. I mean, I don't want to mess with the free charges.
Electret. He said Electret.
That's fiddly. That's
micro. I mean, he shoots a certain frequency in it.
They said they were using Electrets and that they're thinking of using, what was it called? Lithium iron phosphate from like lipo batteries.
Yeah, he said something about battery technology. I didn't understand the reference.
Well, that was because they mentioned it previously at the APEC open mic, and I guess I heard that part, or I was there for that. So, but yeah, they're thinking of using lithium iron phosphate to basically see if intercalation compounds will work in this device. And I think they might be incorrect about that, just because intercalation compounds are technically bonded, although the bond is not typically like it's van der Waals forces maybe, which I guess it would be in an acrylic block, but like you still see the long range charge from an Electret, and you don't see the long range charge in a lipo battery. So the charge is screened, so I don't think that they're going to get a large effect in that case.
Well, the trick is to have it screened very well on one side and not screened on the other side.
That's the idea, and
I don't know how they're doing that.
Oh, okay. I see.
mean, if you had an Electret and then you had a piece of acrylic on one side to block the electric field on that side, I don't know. I've never played with it.
Well, it's an interesting thing because, like, if you think of the single capacitor thing, you've got a bunch of charge on one side, and so what's the electric field going to do? The electric field is all on one plate, and then it will try to actually go around that plate to the other side of the plate.
Yep.
And then you actually get an electrostatic pressure you got pressure on this side and pressure on the other side.
And it's equalized, right? You need to not be equalized.
No, you're misunderstanding. The pressure is on one plate this way, and then it's on the other plate the same direction, because the field lines are trying to go around and onto the backside because they don't want to go through that charge. You get me?
No,
because
I don't know what material you're talking about.
Todd, this isn't your math. He's creating an extremely strong gradient by charging up one material, having charges drift into it, and then blocking it from actually migrating to the shorting point on the other plate. So
we got a nice little thing going. So I think I'll probably head to bed.
Thanks, Michael.
Have a good night. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow at the open mic, I guess. No, actually, I'll be at my grandfather's house. Maybe I'll jump on the later half of it. Anyway, nice chatting.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too.
Can I ask you something, Jeremiah?
Also, hi, Gary.
Nice to see you again. I'm sorry that you have to jump, Michael.
I wanted to ask him a question. I'm curious if anybody's studied the Sal Pais patents on the piezoelectric superconductors.
Whatever you want to know, ask your question.
I mean, he's talking about, I think it said a plastic cylinder wrapped in PZT or similar material, right?
Right. The PZT is being used as an evanescent wave generator to create an incredibly high surface charge density so that he can produce these traveling waveforms and get his refractive index modified at the surface. So what he's trying to do there is set up a standing wave on the PZT, and he can compare the difference between the group velocity and the phase velocity. So there the group velocity is not necessarily faster than c, but the phase velocity is, and with the standing wave, he's able to create superluminal-like phase velocities over the surface as the transmitted evanescent wave, thanks to the PZT.
So, like, to do this, would you use pulsed DC?
You would use an oscillating source that you could generate a standing wave with, one that could handle the high Q and the modification of refractive index in the physical dielectric of your piezoelectric element.
Jeremiah, is that the newer one with bound charge on the screen right now? Or is
he would want bound charge specifically because the bound charge would amplify tremendously the amount of energy density and the evanescent wave traveling the surface. You'd want the bound charge on the surface where the wave is at its peak amplitude, right at the boundary layer between the PZT and the outside vacuum environment.
This is like an electrical and a physical thing. Like, I assume you would want to use the piezoelectric because you're physically deforming the material, right? And that somehow interacts with the electrical forces. I'm really
Right, what
in
you're
over
doing
my
here
head.
is, okay, so you could, normally electrical forces are compressed by current traveling through a conductor. In this case, there are trapped charges on the surface, and the evanescent wave refers to the compression of the physical matter, that is the PCT crystal itself changing shape.
Yeah.
So the trapped charges in that piezoelectric material get compressed together, and very much like the operation of a klystron where charges get bound together and squeezed. And here is a squeezed state of charge, which produces a photon, which is a squeezed state of light.
I
Jerry would
gotcha.
be an expert on this, and Todd Desiato has mathematics to represent it.
But like, is it fairly straightforward to calculate what I'm assuming resonance is involved? Like, you want to find a resonant frequency for
Right. Well, the
what?
mathematics doesn't necessarily account for the resonance. The resonance is considered a preceding condition wherein the effects occur. And so, like, for example, Todd's mathematics don't try to account for how you build up or achieve a resonant state. What they do is explain what happens when you're in that state.
So
and I think that they do it pretty accurately.
You just have to experiment with whatever material you have on hand to find that.
Right, exactly. You would do it by trial and error, if you will. The classic scientific approach.
Yeah. Do you know anybody that
Well,
is working on that?
us. I mean, our group, we specifically cater in that.
And that seems like fairly low hanging fruit when it comes to all the topics we discussed. I didn't.
Completely agree. It is low hanging fruit right there for the taking, and we should be doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I went so far as to look at suppliers for PZT. It's not like super expensive, but it's probably difficult to machine or whatever work with.
You cast it, not so much machine it. I mean, you can clean up the surface, but generally speaking, you need some of the more difficult to acquire, high temperature, cured, and sintered dielectrics, like, for example, barium titanate. A very good solution for this because barium titanate will generate an incredibly strong evanescent wave, and it happens to have a material property called what is it? Ferroelectromagnetism, or it's a ferroelectric, which means the charge applied to one side of the dielectric almost immediately appears on the other side without having to transition through the mass. So you get a partial polarization instantaneously, and then you get a complete polarization that lags behind. But the partial polarization is very useful because it allows for a superluminal phase velocity. It doesn't work with all of your piezoelectrics.
Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I had a $30 super chat here that StreamYard did not even notify me about. I didn't even see it. Truth Seekers says, Jeremy, thanks for all the great content and all the great work you and your group are doing. Gives me hope for the future, which is rare these days. I appreciate that, man. We're trying to build a better future, man, because there's enough. Has to be somebody here building the future with all the people out there destroying it and trying to.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. And you can see.
Fuck.
I'm glad that you're back, Will. Where is Todd?
Man,
so I came back to make a few corrections.
Hear you, Gary.
There was like a graph of dielectric where was it a few minutes ago in the video, or you just had it up a minute ago, Jeremy. There was a graph in their video, and I just wanted to make a correction I noticed.
Was it it wasn't this one. That was the one with
that's the
Tim.
one with the one. Yeah, sorry, Tim's presentation. Correct.
It was Tim's presentation.
With Charles Mueller just now. I know. I was following along on YouTube, and I noticed it's a faux pas, I would say. So
this graph
no, not that one. It's the one where they show the dielectrics with the forces or the electric fields little further along. That one, maybe no, that's after it. Where's no? Maybe earlier. There was a graph he had. I thought, or maybe it was the other video, because this is.
So, what do you guys think of Byfield-Brown effect in general? Have you given up or what?
Byfield-Brown effect is misunderstood because
That
it's
is
captured under
this
two
effect we're
categories.
looking at right now, probably.
Good.
So I have a
Byfield-Brown
question
effect is
too.
not understood.
If
Guys,
it's,
I need to point this out, especially if you're going to ask that question, Gary.
Well, it's an
well, my
thing.
current working hypothesis is it's this.
I know the working hypothesis, but I'm thinking you guys seem to have given up on it from what I've seen on
Well,
OPEC,
I haven't.
etc.
Well, I mean, that's everyone's their own individual. This whole group is like herding cats, so don't
Totally.
don't assume anything is given up on. Honestly, it's better that way, because if there is disinfo trying to stop everyone, like someone's just going to be like stubborn as a brick and just keep working on it anyway. And then
I'm that fucking
it's
guy.
It's better if there's a plurality of interests. Oh,
Yeah,
there it
yeah,
is. Perfect.
Gary.
That's the one.
Anyways, if I can point this out, this is not the Byfield-Brown effect that we're looking at here.
Well,
This
so
is-
this is kind of an improvement on it, isn't it?
No,
they're not using AC on this. This is just a DC field they're applying.
This is the well recognized.
Yeah, but this is the
gradient
thing.
effect.
There are anomalous effects when it comes to AC and the frequency. There's even an exponential effect to the point of 1.9.
Well, so I'm thinking that anomalous effect is simply the transient on the pins that they had. So, like, if you look at Townsend Brown's
but that
work,
depends on
he talks about like this.
setups.
He talks about needles and on one side and a flat capacitor plate on the other side, and the needles, like the force kind of goes away if you don't pulse it with AC.
Have you seen
why would that happen? Because the
one plate.
The needle
one plate capacitor experiments. It still works with one plate, not two plates.
I'm less familiar. I think that's more the PEM drive. That's a slightly different effect, and that is typically AC. But that is that's what that other fellow is talking about now too. In on the last APEC. What was his name again? The guy with the fractal antenna thing. Well, anyway,
David Perez.
David Perez.
Yeah.
I think that is different enough that I would say it's a separate effect but related. But anyway, to this graph here, I just want to make a quick point here. They say sure the electric field in vacuum is higher on plate 2 and lower on plate 1, but at the interface between the dielectrics in this capacitor they're showing here, where the electric field drops suddenly, there's a force on the dielectric surface between the plates, which equilibrates the force at the two plates themselves. So the three forces cancel out. So I don't know what they're talking about with this breakthrough here. But besides the Electret, I don't know.
This is the thing, though. It's such a everyone disagrees. There's so many theories on this: one plate, two plates, asymmetrical, symmetrical.
That's always how it will be, and that's fine because
that's
then
what I
people
was
are exploring
trying.
more things.
Michael, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
With the dielectric at a high voltage, and the other side is ground.
Sure.
If you think of it as just a parallel plate capacitor, what you just said is correct. But if you think of this as some sort of flying saucer propulsion device, and ground is the entire hull of the ship above the bottom, and only the bottom is of this propulsion device, only the bottom disc is highly charged.
Okay, I get it.
Is it charged to the same negative?
Okay,
or
now any
floating?
ions in the environment are going to be either attracted or repelled by it, but whether the ions are attracted to it or repelled away from it, they produce a thrust in the opposite, up.
Yeah, but this is the main question, because there's many different experiments. There's so many variable parameters in this, although it's very simple in general. You can take it from the direct ground, or you can take it from the experiment ground with the same frequency as the positive.
Well, yeah, Todd, that makes total sense, and that makes me think maybe this is also what was used in the flux liner, maybe, Because I mean, if you look at the flux liner notes, they have a ton of stacked capacitor plates with some dielectric in between. Maybe part of it's Electret and part of it's normal
Inside
dielectric.
the flux liner original documentations that were handwritten notes from the Candleish and his team, one of those things that most of us had not seen. He talks about the flux liner capacitor plates being made of tiny little beads of copper sintered together.
Oh, I've not seen that.
In exactly the same kind of way that Richard Van Duyk did, designating that they are designed to store a tremendously stupid amount of charge.
In a bead form.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, you increase the
I wonder if I have that. Let me see. I'd like to pull this up for everybody because this is a diagram that's not been seen from the Candleish.
Oh, Jeremy, but Reese, by the way, do you have or Jeremy Rice? I think it's Reese. Do you have that link for dimensional archetypes across mystical traditions and something implying deeper intersections made by the AI?
Oh, that was written by an AI, and it makes no sense.
Oh, can you give me the link anyway? Can you post it in the private chat?
We're not being invaded by AI text, are we?
Yeah, I mean, just for my own research, it's got my interest. But if you could do that for me, Michael, I'd really appreciate that.
Fuck
I
you.
mean, I don't have it. I mean, I'm sure I have it somewhere. I just took a quick look at it. Jeremy can get it for you, I think. Anyone else here can get it for you.
I'll find
it.
it.
In all seriousness, there's so many simple experiments with the Byfield Brown. There's only about fucking 10 parameters on the bench. Obviously, physically, with physics, there's multiple parameters. But on the bench, it's a very simple fucking experiment. You can, and the main things are the distance between the capacitors, the voltage applied, and also obviously the dielectric component.
Well, but if you look at what Charles Bueller's saying, he's saying that they didn't see, like, they saw an effect, a very small.
But Bueller got the least effect out of all the experiments. He got very little thrust.
Yeah, so like he saw a small force, but a measurable force for the standard Byfield Brown stuff, and then when he switched to these charged electric capacitor things, that's when the forces became very large and usable.
Yeah, but he didn't go to very high voltage either, did he? It was very low voltage. It's like
if you count the voltage that's in the Electret, that's many kilovolts. The charge on the plates he's using is 10 volts, but the electric field is still quite large because the plates are very close together.
Yeah. Yeah, like magnets, basically. It's like an inverse proportional force.
But yeah, I mean, if you like actually, I would still be interested to see those notes on the flux liner still, because it sounds like this might explain the flux liner.
So what have you done on the bench? I've done 2 experiments, one with a glass dielectric with a 50-gram capacitor, aluminium electrodes, and the glass dielectric lost 0.22 grams. And then I did nitrile rubber, which is about 5 or 6 in the K constant, and that lost 1.4 grams. Well, and I recently I need some advice actually. I bought some copper calcium titanate. I'm having a very hard fucking time pressing this thing into a disc.
What I do is so Gary, what I do is I take some Rochelle salt and I just use that as a binding agent for the calcium copper titanate. It works really well.
I was using PVA.
Yeah, you could, but the thing is, like, the dielectric constant falls off so fast with, like, if you have like 2 things of high dielectric and then you have like a small gap between them that's low dielectric, the final dielectric constant is not going to be that high. You want the dielectric constant all throughout to be very high. So you want your binding agent to be a high dielectric material as well.
What about heating and pressure?
The easiest thing to use is Rochelle salt.
What about heating and pressure?
Yeah, you could do that. I would be somewhat worried about changing the oxidation state of the copper.
That's my worry, but apparently
you might want to do it under vacuum or under inert atmosphere.
I can't do that in my shed, lad. But
yeah, that's why I recommended Rochelle salt.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that path then.
Yeah, good luck.
What's the maximum dielectric constant with Rochelle salts?
Like 8,000. It's only along one axis, but if you have a polycrystalline structure, some of those crystals will be aligned, and that will be enough.
Okay.
So I got a question. You were, was it you that told me to go watch this video, Michael? Somebody sent it to me.
I think so. Yeah. Well, if I didn't send it to you, I definitely would have sent it to you, because this is an interesting video as well. It's very fundamental here. If you have the question being asked here is, if you have a completely empty universe with a bucket of water and some gravity in a direction, and the bucket suspended against gravity, if you have a completely empty universe, how does the bucket know that it's spinning?
Oh, this I have to hear.
These are the fundamental questions.
Yeah, because if the bucket is spinning against gravity, it'll have a parabolic structure on top of the water due to the centrifugal forces. But like if it's not spinning, it'll be flat.
Well, this is what the Rad's argument was. If we made it large, enough, you would realize that we are in a spinning frame of reference, because Newton's.
Well, there's two ways to take
spinning bucket is a misnomer. It's a localized frame of reference and a very small.
There's two ways to see this. So you can attribute it to the rest of the mass in the universe being like forming the reference frame for the object, or you can say that spin is intrinsic to the object itself. So like you could tell the spin state of the bucket regardless of whether there's a universe around it based on how the water curves in the bucket. And that's one way of looking at it. And the other way of looking at it is, no, the bucket can't really know unless there's other stuff there to pull against. So like there's like a gravitomagnetic force of the rest of the entire universe, which that's actually kind of plausible because the rest of the universe, that's a lot of mass. So like if there's this huge gravitomagnetic field that does this effect to the water, then I don't know. There could be something there. I don't know.
Well, there is, and it comes down to the acceleration.
There was no friction. The water wouldn't spin with the bucket.
Right. The inside surface of the bucket is in one frame of reference. The water in the bucket is in another frame of reference.
I think we're getting lost in kinematics.
Well, no. Actually, if it's
this
spinning,
is really important. Actually,
it is.
If the water is spinning at the same rate as the bucket, it would still be parabolic. It's not about friction on the bucket.
No, but the water wouldn't move if the bucket started spinning, unless there's friction.
Right, exactly. Hydrophobic.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that is it's assumed to be either at rest, stationary, or at equilibrium spinning.
Exactly. And once it's at equilibrium spinning, all the work that was done to get it that way has already been done, and now it possesses angular momentum.
Yes. And that's intrinsic to the bucket.
Is stored in that parabola.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, yes. That's well. So then there's like, where does the force come from to keep the water that way against the gravity, though? That's the question.
It's stored.
This is what it's about. It's about the origination of the force. Where does creation come from? That's the
so there's some fundamental potential energy associated with this parabola. Then
yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
I think MR really pointed this out the best in the comments, and he says, if it's the only thing in the universe, then it's the only thing creating gravity.
Yeah.
Meaning that if it's all the isolated matter that exists in its entirety, then it will.
Can I ask one question?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's an interesting point, because if there is a mass far away creating the gravity that's pulling the water down in the first place, then that mass would also create maybe the gravitomagnetic field required to hold the parabola, maybe.
Well, also you have to figure, in order to set the buckets in motion spinning, you have to first have another object that acts upon it with a torque. So
Todd was saying something.
Sorry, Todd. Jeremy's saying it for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my bad.
So what happens to conservation of momentum if so where did the torque come from to start the bucket spinning?
That's a fair point.
And there has to be an equal and opposite reaction due to conservation laws. So something else.
He's right. We would need two frames of reference. One of the frame that would create the rotation, and the other of the frame that is the rotation.
We're not talking
now
about.
I've got some bad news for you.
Consciousness creates matter.
Now I got the
there
bad
is
news for
no
you. It's
physical
all the
thing
matter in the
that's going on.
universe. All the matter in the universe that sets the speed of light here and now.
Yeah. So this experiment wouldn't work properly in a universe without matter or something?
If it was a universe without matter, the speed of light would be very, very fast. But from our reference plane, in a universe like that with no mass in it, no matter in it,
you know what? We'll never have a
scale
theory
is irrelevant.
without explaining consciousness.
Yeah, our big G is literally a derivative of all the matter in the universe. So we can't get our space-time metric constant unless we have that matter.
Yeah, in fact, G depends on the refractive index, 1 over the refractive index to the 4th power, where C only requires 1 over the refractive index. So G is actually much more susceptible to all the mass in the universe than C.
Interesting.
This is why I knew Todd was the only guy who had the math for this.
That's that's a very interesting point, actually.
You can't explain your own existence with sums.
It always boils down to who made God.
Oh, he's got a deep voice.
Well, I'm going to have to think about that one, Todd. I think gravity is that refractive index in a sense. So if it's also affected by that refractive index, that's recursive. I'll have to think about that.
It's nonlinear.
Fair. Okay, could be.
Nonlinear.
Maybe there's something that. Maybe there's something that's.
If it's nonlinear, it's non-recursive. That just goes with the territory.
There is stuff beyond this, beyond math, beyond physics, consciousness.
I don't know about that.
If we can explain consciousness, then we can explain all material. I think consciousness creates everything that's material.
I agree with Gary on that, actually.
Well, indeed, we know that the substrate of biology is chemistry. The substrate of biology is chemistry, and the substrate of chemistry is physics. And the substrate of physics, according to the Joule slot experiment, is
we need the Planck scale, right? Like what you're saying, Ian, and like what Gary has talked about before. We have this thing that exists underneath the Planck scale, and it determines the Planck length, the Planck distance, the information horizon of the boundary layer.
Tiny triangles.
Right. Exactly. It's tetrahedral. We have a grid lattice structure.
In 3 dimensions.
It's a structure, and it's composed of positronium points.
I got to head out for the night, so you guys have fun. I stayed half an hour longer than I expected to, but it was fun.
Nice to hear you, man. That's very good.
Good.
Yeah.
I love what you said.
To hang out.
But Jeremy also put a...
Michael, that tetrahedron has 4 points that describe it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, look at the amplithahedron.
It has 4 dimensions.
If you use the amplithahedron back in 2013, it was a mathematical object they used to describe like 64 dimensions or something as some combination. I don't know, it's adding stuff to the conversation.
That sounds cool.
Has anyone read the...
Can I just say, I'm frankly absolutely stunned to be on the same panel as both Gary and Michael. Amazing.
Oh, dude, we're all anti-societals together.
Well, hey, yeah.
Welcome to the Rebel
Respect
cause.
for what you've done. Thank you very much.
It's
Gary.
a pleasure to be on the podcast with the voice of God. So,
is he here?
Wow.
That's the people were saying, they didn't know who Ian was, and they heard him talking, and everyone in the comments was freaking out.
I normally do the talking. I don't normally come on the camera, you see.
He does. He's got the voice for it, man.
Yeah. Ian Parker, he made the Sumerians.
They say a face for radio. Yeah.
Oh, man. But seriously, it is really about consciousness, isn't it? Because without the thought, there is no matter.
Have you tried DMT, Gary?
No, but I've been out of my body. So I totally believe that you are separate from the physical.
Every story that you've heard about DMT is true. You cannot perceive the view from the top of the mountain until you climb the mountain and see the view for yourself.
Let me say 2 things on that. Terence, what's his face, which was the first Westerner to popularize DMT.
Yeah.
Mr. McKenna.
Yeah. He said, "Oh my God, the machine elves." So he preloaded every fucking Westerner who took that drug afterwards. Oh my God, I saw the machine elves too. It's
I
like
wouldn't have seen them like that.
Your friend took a trip and he said, "Oh, I saw sexy babes." So, oh my god, I saw sexy babes too.
I did rather a lot and was catapulted into a council of those entities. So I wouldn't describe them as machine elves, but they are there and they see us.
I feel the need to point out that specifically to Jeremy, for you alien scientists, I want to point out that you're smiling and it looks like you're having a good time. I think you forget that these shows are fucking awesome and you assemble some of the best team members that have ever existed. So while you're smiling, I want you to lock it into your mind that you are the awesome collaborator of these.
Yeah, Jeremy, I hope you don't have like a wife and kids and all that shit, because that would just take up too much of your time.
Like the conductor of an orchestra.
Next time you get bummed out, remember this one. Remember that you have the ability.
You know what? One of the funniest things I've heard Jeremy say was when he was talking in the lab, and the other guy's name, I'm shit at names, so I apologize. And he was talking about what you visualize is what you get. And Jeremy said, "I don't see any supermodels in my house."
I've got to try that. I just keep visualizing robots.
Yeah, let's keep trying.
Yeah. Well, I visualized someone on the team producing anti-gravity, and I thought
that's the dream.
If someone's done it, if they, like Stephen Greer and other people say they figured it out in October.
Oh, Stephen Greer's full of fucking shit,
right? Well, there's a bunch of people repeating this all over Twitter that we figured out gravity in 1954.
What was the acrylic block thing before? Because I know from physics, if you rub a piece of acrylic with a soft cloth,
static,
you creates the charge on it. So could you not get a rotary cotton disc against the acrylic, removing the charge from it?
You can deposit charges on the surface, but if you really want the acrylic block to do its magic, then you got to talk to somebody that does the.
Can I quickly tell you guys about my Byfield Brown experiments?
Please.
Hell yes.
Right. Yeah. I've done two. Both with a 50-gram capacitor with aluminium electrodes. And the first one was with a glass dielectric, and which the K was about 3 or 4. I'd have no way of calculating it. And it lost 0.22 grams. The second one was with nitrile rubber, which is of a K about 6. It lost 1.44 grams. And I recently bought some calcium copper titanate powder on the advice of Michael. 180 quid it cost me for a kilogram.
Mm.
And my God, is that thing hard to fucking shape. I've melted it, taken it to like 1100 degrees. I've used 3 different methods to heat it. I used a propane gas forge, basically, in a graphite crucible, and the fucking thing just absorbed graphite and the ash and all the.
I see the problem here. I bet Michael does too.
And then I used
is what you want.
Well, yeah, exactly. So my second method was an electric forge, still in a graphite crucible, and that absorbed the graphite. So my third method is the induction coil, but it's still the container. What the fuck I tried iron, I tried steel, and it just bonded. I'm like, how the fuck do you melt this?
Ceramic of some kind.
Well, I have an answer.
Is it just soaking into the graphite?
Please give me the answer.
What's with the graphite? Is the graphite just
no, the graphite's fucked. The graphite's fucked. Yeah, it's just like ash.
It just soaks into it. Mad.
Yeah.
Would you like to know how to make one?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is what we did. CCTO. We mixed it with, and I will pull it out of my box to tell you exactly what material it was. You're going to want to write this down. So grab your pen and paper.
I'm recording this, so it's all good.
Okay. The epoxy that I used was something called Epox A Cast 690. And
what the fuck is that?
High temp stuff, but that's only about 800 degrees. You're not going to hit it.
Smooth-on Incorporated, 2-part.
Gary, you said you need about 1200 degrees to hit this stuff.
Yeah, melting point's about 1100.
No, you don't need to. Yeah. Here's the thing. Just forget about your sintering process.
Yeah.
Epoxy cast 690 does not go to the sintering temperature. What it does is it's a high temperature pure epoxy, and it happens to be
into molten now.
the thinnest epoxy, not only that Smoothland offers, but that anybody offers. It's 290 setup points. It's insanely low, and you can actually add something to it to make it even thinner called Tyvek, also a property of the additives that Smooth-On offers. So you get yourself a little bottle of Tyvek, you get yourself Epoxicast 690.
Yeah.
Mix at the maximum threshold that you can possibly fit into there, your highest density of CCTO.
Yeah.
Hold a vacuum, get the air out, let it settle. It's a temperature or thermal cure epoxy, which means that you can actually let it settle on a layer beneath, and it will fall down to your maximum compact.
And what kind of vacuum we're talking about?
Reasonable 10 to the negative fifth vacuum for a standard pump for HVAC purposes. Okay. You're just getting to the point where if your vacuum pump can boil water, that's what you want. You need to be able to have a system where you.
That sounds really nice, because the only method I've read of is mixing it with the PVA organic binder, and the pressure needs to be like 89 megapascals, which is like.
Well, we tried this, and I know that CCTO can go over 10,000 in terms of its dielectric constant for K factor, but in this method, we got over 80 compared to the normal. The normal, which is just roughly about 3 or 4.
Wow.
So.
Well, I've read that if you put it under the right pressure and heat it for like 8 hours, you can get 280,000 K value, which is just off the fucking scale.
Well, 100,000 never intend to achieve more than that unless you're doing proper sintering and you have the perfect binder.
Oh, mate, that'd be good enough for me. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Settle yourself with 10K.
Thanks for that.
And you'll be good. I mean, you're going to see the differences. You're not going to get probably a better homemade dielectric. If you have the CCTO powder.
Have you done it? Have you done it in an asymmetrical cap?
Yeah, well, that's why I built it. This was in research with TT Brown, which is why I was pointing out that Brown has 2 different mechanisms, and one of them is through dielectric gradient, which is what you were talking about. What you're not talking about is his use of spin nuclear isotopes. Brown's greatest discovery. And this is where it gets juicy.
Yeah.
His radioisotopes were capable of producing forces so powerful that it got it completely blacklisted the moment that he showed it to the military admiral. He had what he called a lofting cake.
So am I wasting my time in my little ordinary man's shed?
This is step 1 of step 2. You have 2 steps. The first one is to understand the gradient electric field potentials under ideal conditions, which is CCTO in this case, one of our best materials.
By the way, Jeremy, I don't know if you're still listening while you're looking down at your phone or something, but I don't know who your guest was who mentioned it, but I bought this book because he did. It just arrived today.
Can you read the title of that? Oh, they all told the truth.
That's the Richard Crandall, right? Richard Crandall? Yeah.
Nice.
It just arrived.
I talked to him shortly before he died.
Have you skimmed it yet?
I haven't skimmed it. It's just
did you say he died?
He's not died. What the fuck?
I think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
He's not dead.
Surely not.
Where is he, man? I was talking.
He's on our other contact group. I mean, I could contact him.
Oh, I don't know if you want to get him on, man. I would like. It'd be cool to talk to him. It would be awesome. Maybe I'm confusing him with someone else. That's awesome if he's still with us.
I can't believe McKenna.
It's awesome for him.
I'm used to my friends dying, but he's not on the list.
We've lost quite a few over the years, man. So, But I want to wrap this up before it hits too close to the 2-hour mark, because that seems to be too much for a lot of people. And I think we nailed it. We gave people enough homework already with the physics we discussed.
I've got enough homework. Oh.
I think we're going to switch it to just jump off. We'll jump off and have a little private where we can hang out backstage for a little bit. And
yeah, baby.
Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. Thanks for all the super chat supporters on today's show. That every little bit helps keep us going here, even though YouTube takes 30%. So if you want to make big donations,
like button.
you want to make big donations and send us big bucks, you can always send me an email. I've never gotten one, but it's who knows? Some people want to link up. If you're in the Boston area, come down to my lab. Just send me an email. I don't get enough emails.
So Jeremy, what are the other ways people can contribute to you financially?
Yeah, do you have like an Amazon wish list? Surely that's like tax free.
Yeah, I know. I should get like an
Amazon. I've been on at Steve to do this for ages.
Don't give money to Amazon.
Great idea.
Yeah, but people will buy you studio kits.
It's a shit idea. Fuck Amazon. Fuck Jeff Bezos.
Who then?
Yeah, Amazon. We all have to live under Lord Bezos.
Something to do.
No, the tax man is always looking. That's the problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lord Bezos rules us all. So,
we got him to the moon. He made James T. Kirk cry with our money.
Oh yeah, that guy. Oh fuck, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I appreciate the people that are on board and have been on board since the beginning, because this pie is almost fully baked, and when it's ready and it's time to eat, man. There's going to be everyone clamoring for a spot at the table for a bite of the pie. And
can I just say, as the world's biggest military computer hacker, I've learned so much more about UFOs and Bob Lazar and 9/11 since watching Jeremy's channel. I've considered myself re-educated by Jeremy.
So, well, hey, I hope you fact check.
I'm still tackling deauthorization.
Channel is the place to go. This is where you get to discuss this stuff. There's nowhere else online where you get to debate the debaters that are bringing this up, and you can disagree with them. And here on this channel, we support.
And I do fact check Jeremy, and luckily Jeremy provides all the sources. So yeah, you can easily fact check it.
Right. This is the one place we can really get into the details.
Oh, I got people hammering at the back door to get in the studio, man.
That's the man. That's the man.
I can't. There's only 10 spots, dude. It's
God damn it.
I should open up
the after show. How does the after show work?
Yeah, we can only get 10 people in here, man. I almost should start a. Oh, Todd's
Jeremy, I want to contribute.
I'm ready for bed, guys.
What's the best way to?
I'll listen till I pass out. So, have a good night.
Yeah, go check out
now.
Hey, Todd, real quick before you leave, did you ever get your diode pressed into your case, or did you try to just simply?
Yeah, you missed the call last night. I got it working. I got the spectroscope working. What I really need is like an SMA connector that I can connect the diode directly to the fiber optic. But for what I got right now, it works. And so now I can measure wavelengths. And if I can measure wavelengths, I can measure acceleration. And if I can measure acceleration, I can measure time dilation.
Boy, I'll just have to wait for the next week's call and see your setup.
So what do you need? An SMA to what?
We're doing experiments that affect gravity. So I'm making something that can detect gravity like you would use an atomic clock without spending millions of dollars for an atomic clock.
Right, like a Michelson-Morley interferometer or like a White-Day interferometer. He will now have the ability to directly detect the warp.
How do you separate something from time so that the effects of time don't govern it?
The speed of light changes.
Amazon.
Acceleration changes.
Estimate time and separator.
Like when light travels through a medium and slows down and speeds up.
Yeah, you just give it parcel tracking.
All right, guys. This is sorry, I was spelling it wrong, but this is Todd's channel. If people
Drive Tech.
Oh, nice.
Go check it out.
You spelled it right for the link, because when I went to get the link, someone had already taken
I'm going there now.
Tech with an H.
With an H.
Dang.
So it's Warp Tech with a K in the link.
Get to get my OCR on this.
I just can't wait till the day this information finally gets out there to the greater audience, because it's been frustrating with this small group and then trying to get it out into the mainstream and having them treat me like Schweisselbach there, the guy who discovered germs.
Schweisselbach.
This is the.
But you're a pariah, Jeremy, and you're always going to be a pariah.
Laser.
It's better to be the outside than the inside. That's what they say.
Jeremy will be a pariah because he stands in opposition to the mainstream status quo.
Always.
He can't avoid it. There's no way.
What laser is that? What is it?
It's your nature.
That's the laser diode in the lens, and then this is just an aluminum housing. That's a heat sink.
Wavelength. What wavelength is the laser?
Very good.
You manufacture your own
what is it? 455 nanometers.
Yeah, okay. And it's a gain guided diode. It's a single mode diode.
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
Lulu, I'm sorry. I want to see.
I can have one at this height and one at this height, and light them both, and then compare.
So I'm thinking here. You've got.
You want to use one laser, and you want to use.
How's it like a focusing thing?
Guys, try again.
No, you can't use 2 lasers, Todd. You cannot.
You
different
compare?
sources.
Do you have a line level meter with one of the fluorescent bubble levels in it?
Who's trying to
like
get
a fluorescent
I love
green
those questions.
It's like a fluorescent green liquid that you have in a spirit.
He's not using a dye laser, Gary.
Warp Drive Tech, would you like me to do English translation as a Scottish person?
That was Drake.
What he said was, did you buy it off eBay?
Yes. Oh, sorry. No. I don't know who that was.
This isn't a dye laser, guys. This is a direct interferometry laser that interacts with its own wavelength and needs to use just one module.
Sorry, I'm just trying to introduce you.
I've got a monster lightsaber I got off of eBay.
Yes, I have one of these, and if you hit fluorescent with it, the fluorescent super glows up. So one of these that you get in a spirit level.
Oh, I got a whole box of them. Now I know what you're talking about.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? So you're talking a big laser.
4 or 5 nanometers.
Here we go.
So a lightsaber style laser. One of those.
Dye chamber laser.
Yes. And you pump it through one of those.
Let's see this.
Oh, I can't look at it. It's going to go so bright. Okay.
I wish you had a vape, buddy.
He's doing.
Woo! Oh my goodness!
Sexy laser bitch.
Is Raid Roach or that Raid like that catches flies? It's like tape. Is that the same material that I was trying to laser through it?
I'd turn on my laser, honestly, Ian, but I'd burn up my webcam.
Yes, that's a 2 watt. That's a 2 watt.
Yeah, mine's a 7.
That'll put holes in.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nice. Someone was trying.
7 watts will fry your webcam.
You know what?
Well, yeah.
Can we switch to a Zoom call for this, man? Because like I got more people. I got people just trying to get in, and I just
provide an infinite link.
Switch to
if
Zoom.
you'd like, Jeremy. If you'd like, I can provide an infinite Zoom link that won't expire.
Okay, if you could do that, and we could start up a Zoom call. Maybe we can move over to that because people are trying to get in, and StreamYard only lets me have 10 people in this room at a time.
Is Steve trying to get in?
I don't know who it is.
There's only 5 of us right now. What's going on?
No, there's a bunch of them backstage. There's a couple of them backstage that like a couple of these guys that don't have don't have mics and stuff. So,
why do we want them then?
Yeah, but I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. It's been a good stream, and definitely
always good, Jeremy. Always good. Always quality watching.
Here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Stay tuned. We'll have more stuff out soon. Hopefully.
All right, invitation copied. I'm gonna put it in the private chat. Okay. And then you can go ahead and you can post that.
I'm off for Zoom.
All right, there it is. So, is there a passcode?
It's automatic when you click the link.
It's automatic when you click the link, the passcode. So here it is. If you guys want to join, and we'll see you all there on the Zoom call. So there's the Zoom call ID number and meeting. If you you want to jump in on that, so we'll see you all over there shortly, man. And have a great night, and we'll hopefully be hanging out backstage for at least a little bit. I probably have
Lulu.
Cool.
A half hour before I gotta get going. But all right, thank you guys. Have a great night, and keep
Are we going across to Zoom or staying in the?
Yeah, you can leave this running after you end the live, and just let people migrate over because not everybody will have Zoom.
Yeah,
got you.
And they can talk with amongst themselves too afterwards. So, all right, well, that would end it. Thank you very much for hosting another great show, Jeremy. As always, you are the quintessential mediator and disclosure.
I just I wish it was. All I care about is the information getting out there, man. I really don't want the attention or the
people need to know.
It was never about that. It's about the fact that somebody needs to stand up and do this job, and it's not an easy job to do.
It's not. No, it's not, man. It's I understand why.
there shouldn't be a paywall to the truth.
Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for watching.